Hey everybody, it's Kylie and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Right now I am going to do August 2018 wrap up and also Newt Read-a-thon wrap up. So for anyone who didn't know, I was for the whole month of August doing a Harry Potter themed readathon called the Newt Read-a-thon. And so the whole premise of it was you are going to Hogwarts and you're in your fifth or seventh year, something like that. And you pick your different subjects, and to get an O in a subject, you had to read 3 different books, and there was different prompts, and it was very complicated, but I completed quite a bit, and so let's just get started. So, the first subject I went for was potions. Potions, for an acceptable, you had to read a book with a color in the title. So I read Black Apple by Joan Crate. This was a book about a girl who a Native American girl who was taken and raised in a residential school. I have a full review up on my channel already, back from when I read it, and maybe I'll figure out how to put the link in the corner there. I don't know how to do that yet. Still a newbie. So I read that. Then for my E, I read an audiobook, A Darker Shade of Magic by Victoria Schwab, I believe. And that was really good, but I don't do actual reviews for audiobooks. Just my comprehension's a lot less when I listen to an audiobook rather than when I actually read a book. So, but it was really good. I think I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave Black Apple 4 stars. Then I read, this is not the order that I read them in, but whatever. But then for an O in potions, you had to read a book that was over 350 pages long. So I read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and I also have a full review of this. This was a 5-star read for me. So I got an O in potions, outstanding in potions. Yay! The next subject I went for was herbology. I didn't complete all my goals with this one, but sometimes that happens. So the first prompt for an acceptable in herbology, you had to read a book with green in the cover. So I read Bound South. I can't remember if I gave this like 3 or 4 stars. I think it's really somewhere in between. This is probably considered like women's literature. It's about 3 different women from from Atlanta, I think, and how their lives all interconnect. And yeah, I don't know, it was a good read. It was kind of like soap opera-ish if you like that kind of thing, and I didn't mind it. It was a nice light read. So yeah, there's that. For an E in potions, I read it was something with illustrations. So I read a graphic novel called Low. I think it's written by Rick Remender. And I'll put a picture up here because I took that out of the library and I've already returned it. So, I don't know. I never really read graphic novels before. I talked about Low a lot and how I felt about it, in my blogging that I did, my video blogs. Probably find it in like the vlogs for the second week, either the first or the second week. I think it was just this particular graphic novel that I didn't really like. It was graphic. It was definitely adult content. There was lots of gore and there was lots of sex. So I didn't really care for the storyline either. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try something different at a different time. But I'm not a big graphic novel, manga person. Like, I know it's a really popular thing right now, but it's just something that's not really for me, I don't think. So, but that's okay. And then, so I just got an E in herbology. I was planning on listening to audiobook for 1,000 Splendid Suns. but I didn't get to that. My work this month just kind of didn't go as planned to my schedule, and I didn't have a lot of time to listen to audiobooks. So I totally skipped that one, and I just got an E, which is exceeds expectations in herbology, but that's still pretty good. So the next subject I went for was charms. For an A in charms, you had to read a book with magic in it, and I read on audiobook The Paper Magician by, sorry, I'm trying to remember the author. I think Charlie Holmberg is the author. This story was really interesting. I really love the world and the type of magic in this world. But kind of like not very far into the book, it got really weird. And that was like most of the book. And I also really didn't like the writing. I kind of felt that things were like it was overly descriptive, like when it didn't need to be. And I felt lots of times too that not only was the character stupid, but I felt like the author was treating the reader like they were dumb and kind of like spelling things out for us when it was obvious, like by what happened. Like you don't need to show something and say something, I don't think. Like it's, yeah. So I didn't really enjoy it. I don't know if I'll continue on with that series. I might, like, because lots of times writing will get better as the series goes on, but I don't know. Like, lots of people really, really love The Paper Magician, and after I listened to it and not read it, but it was really irritating to me, the writing style. I don't know. I'm sorry. That's just how I felt. Anyways, I read it, got an A in charms. For an E in charms, you had to read, it was like a cover that charmed you. So I have a book with a beautiful cover. This is Circe by Madeline Miller. I have a spoiler-free review up on my channel of this already. This was like a 4.5 star read for me, I think. I think that's what I put it as. It was pretty good. I really, really liked it. I just kind of didn't like the ending. It kind of needed a little bit more oomph for me. But yeah, I have a review of this on my channel already. So I got an E in charms there. And then for an O in charms, it had to be a book that left a mark. So I read this, North of Normal by Sia Sunrise Person. I always want to say Pearson. I don't know why. This is a memoir, and I also read there's like this memoir, and then there's another one which is like about another part of her life. This is, excuse me, I am going to be filming a review of the two of them together today, and that's going to go up on my channel on Friday, so you can watch for that. But just to summarize, this woman, Sia, was raised by a hippie family, and they lived for California in a time, and then they lived in Canada in the wilderness, like in teepees, for a good chunk of it. And she just definitely had an unconventional upbringing, and a lot of messed up stuff happened to her. These were written really well, and the story was really impactful. So I think I gave them both 4 stars. Definitely really hard to read because a lot of bad stuff happens to her at really young ages. So, and that can be really hard to read. So just know that if you're thinking about picking this up. But I think it was overall an excellent read, both of them. And, yeah, I definitely recommend them just in general. But yeah, it's going to be spoiler free, I think. But, yeah, the review is going to go up on Friday on my channel. So watch for that. Okay, so I got an O an outstanding in charms. Yay. Then I did arithmancy. For anyone who doesn't know, like, have you heard of numerology and how, like, using your name and your birthday, you come up with, like, life path numbers and, like, things like that? That is basically what I understand arithmancy to be. So that's kind of what it is. I know, like, a lot of people don't really understand what it is, so I just thought I'd say what I thought it was. So I don't remember the prompts for this one, so I'm just gonna pop. Had to do with numbers, I think. Yeah, for an A, it needed to be a book that was at least 300 pages long. So I grabbed one that's been on my shelf for a while. It's called A Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. This was a really good book, and it wasn't what I was expecting. I was kind of expecting it to be a self-help book, but it was more of a memoir. She kind of, Shonda Rhimes, for anyone who doesn't know, is the creator and main writer for Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, like all those shows. That's why they have the term Shondaland, and then I think it's TGIT, thank God it's Thursdays, like all her shows are always on Thursday nights. So she's like a huge big writer, like she makes a lot of money. You'd probably assume that she has like a pretty glamorous life, but I guess that's kind of not how it was. And she wasn't really happy, even though that she was very, very successful in her career and she had a great family and blah, blah, blah. So this is basically her journey to be happy and to just change things that, you know, she was just too comfortable in different things of her life and what she did. And I don't know, I thought it was really great. And she's really humorous, and obviously she's a writer for a living. She's been writing for a long time. This was written really well. I felt like I was sitting down and talking to her, having a conversation with her. I really, really like this book. Okay. For an E in arithmancy, I had to read a book that ended on an even number page. So I Am Najude has 188 pages, so that fulfilled that. I have a full spoiler-free review. Najude is the first child bride to be granted a divorce in the country that she's from, which is Yemen. So this was like a kind of an important milestone in the Middle East, and yeah, it was a good read. So there. I have a review up for that one. Then for O, outstanding in arithmancy, which I completed, I had to read a book that was I think the book that was the second in a series, or just a book that was not a first book in a series. Arithmancy. A book that's not a first in a series. So then I read Nearly Normal, which is the second part of the memoir for North of Normal, which I'm gonna film a review about it. So North of Normal was more about her life as a kid, and Nearly Normal is more about her life in her late teens through her 30s. So yeah, but it does tell some stories from when she was a kid again, stuff that she left out of the first book. So again, really good read. Kind of hard to read again. It's like bad stuff that happened to like a little kid, so it can be really hard. But yeah, so I got an O in arithmancy. Okay, for Ancient Runes, just for an A, I think it was just you had to read a book set in the past. So I listened on audiobook to The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. And it was exactly what I expected, basically. Actually, it was a little bit different than I expected because it's basically her diary when they're in hiding, and they spent, I think it was like about a year and a half that they spent in hiding in like an annex, which I still don't really understand what that is. But yeah, so, and it's kind of just like, it was her diary. This is literally her diary. So she's a 15-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, writing in her diary. So it's lots of stuff about like her relationship with her parents and her family and the other people that are hiding in the annex with her. And you know, she's a teenager, so it's kind of like funny to listen to, but it's also sad to listen to her, you know, fall in love with someone or talk about her hopes and dreams when you know that she dies, like in a concentration camp. So it's, yeah. The book doesn't say that. It's just kind of, there's the last entry, and then there's an epilogue where they talk about what they know happened to her. And they actually know a lot from talking of different survivors that met her. They know kind of different things that happened in the concentration camp, and yeah, but ultimately her dad was the only one that survived the war. So it was hard to read. Then for an E in Ancient Rooms, I had to read the really ancient book, like On Your Shelf. So I read The Beauty of Discomfort by Amanda Lang. And this, again, I kind of thought was a self-help book, and it kind of is. But instead of, like, kind of laying things out for you in, like, step 1, step 2, step 3, this is how you should change your life. Each chapter is a story about a different person and different, like, obstacles and things that they had to overcome, and how they had to basically embrace discomfort, or how they reacted to discomfort and how it helped them. And like, is it 9 chapters? There's 9 or 10 chapters, and yeah, each chapter is extremely inspiring. They are really interesting stories. I didn't find it dry at all, which you tend to do with self-help books usually. Really super interesting. I'm really glad I read it. Definitely super inspiring. I'm thinking I might do a review on it just because it was so good. But I don't know, that wouldn't go up until like next week maybe, because I already have lots of stuff planned for this week. So there's that. So I got an E in Ancient Runes. And actually I did fail a subject. Let me see if it says on here. Yeah, okay. So I was going to attempt, because I wasn't getting to 1,000 Splendid Suns, I was going to attempt to get History of Magic in a book that you think would fit right in at the Hogwarts Library. So I pulled out Tales of the Beetle Bard, and one day I read like the first story, which is only like 10 pages. So the fail grades say, if you started a book and you ran out of time, but you read about 80% of it, you would get a poor. If you read 50% of it, you would get D for dreadful. If you read 20 or less percent of the book, you get T for troll. So I actually get T for troll in History of Magic, because I don't even think I read 20% of the book. So that's kind of funny. I like that. So, but yeah, that is my August wrap up. So this was kind of insane. I read... Let's see, I read 3 audiobooks, 1 graphic novel, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 9 paper books. Like, this is a massive month for me. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 13. I read 13 things this month. That's nuts. That's 3 per week. That's insane. I'm really happy with myself. I had a great month. So if you've read any of this stuff before, feel free to comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. Go check out my reviews on the ones that I have reviews on. Yeah, let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're reading and how your month was. And like if you like, subscribe to see more of me. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. Bye.